Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. Welcome to the first part of this mini-series on hatchlings. It's going to focus on behaviour as well as husbandry of hatchlings. I hope you find it useful. So part one, we're going to look at feeding. Feeding is something that many people struggle with, and really you shouldn't, because feeding is fully instinctual. Your snake does not need to learn how to eat. It is born with that instinct. So we're going to use that to our advantage to get our hatchlings off to a really strong start and get them eating really well. There are three triggers to a feeding response, and the first is scent. Scent is probably the most important, and it's the longest ranged of the three stimuli. Your snake can smell prey from considerable distances, and it's the first trigger that food is in the offing. The other two triggers to a feeding response are a heat signature, so that your snake can detect with its heat pits that it's picking up desirable prey, and movement. Generation of movement is what causes a strike. So we're going to use all three of these: scent, heat signature, movement, to get our snakes to eat instinctively. They will be on full automatic pilot. There is no thinking in this process. Your snake does not recognize you, and that's why we need to put protocols in place to avoid the snake making a mistake and to avoid us being bitten, which is also not good for the snake. So let's take a look at feeding. Here's the scenario. I'd just come home from a few days away, and live ASFs were delivered, and I did not have time to clean the snakes. So you're going to see feeding of snakes in dirty tubs. You're also going to see live feeding, because I didn't have time to organise and defrost Frozen Thawed. Now don't worry, I have edited out all the gruesome bits, but it is instructive so that you can see how we generate a feeding response in our hatchlings. I am going to show in the later part of the video using exactly the same three stimuli: scent, heat signature and movement, and I'm going to feed Frozen Thawed to show you how easy it is. Again, your snakes will be on full automatic pilot. This is instinctive behaviour. There is no adaptive behaviour in this video. Once you've seen this behaviour, you will be able to recognise it every time. So this is what your snake looks like before you bring rats into the room. There's no scent of prey. The animal is awake. Its head is raised and it's moving, but you are not getting any sort of indication of what's to come from this snake. This is relaxed prior to bringing rats into the room. Another example. Awake, moving its head, but we're not getting a feeding response. No scent of prey in the room. The snake is relaxed and calm. Here's the Iron Man clutch doing exactly the same thing. These snakes are just chilling. This is typical of what they look like before. As soon as you bring rats into the room, within a couple of minutes their behaviour changes dramatically, and we're going to take a look at that. Okay, is there any doubt in anybody's mind about what this baby is after? There's rats in the room. I'm feeding the other snakes and he's next in line. Do you think he's hungry? If I put my finger inside his enclosure right now, do you think I will get bitten? Let me just open the tub. grab a rat. He's hungry. Okay, this guy is one of my holdbacks. He's been getting slightly bigger ASFs to normal because he is a holdback, but you can see his response is exactly the same. He is absolutely frantic for food. So we'll feed him and you can see his instant response. I'm not getting this on camera very well, guys, because they're being too quick for me. Okay, I think by now we can quite clearly recognise the feeding response. These are new hatchlings. They've gone through the nervous phase where they're scared of everything, and now they just want to eat everything. And this guy's actually coming out. Oh my goodness me, is that frantic or is that frantic? Let's feed him. Pretty aggressive feeding response. Sorry about the live feeding, guys, but it does illustrate the point. Okay, there's no fear here. This is pure feeding response, and you can see this guy is getting absolutely frantic. He knows there's prey in the room, and he wants one thing and one thing only. And the first thing that goes into his tub when I open the lid is going to get bitten. Make no mistake about this body language. There is no recognition of the keeper here. He just wants feeding. He knows there's food and he is going to take it immediately. Absolutely no hesitation. Let's take another look at that. Next snake in line. Let me open the tub. Let me put my finger here. He seems to be tracking. Let's feed him. No doubt at all about what this guy is interested in. Hungry. I'm not sure how much more predictable feeding day could be, or how much more recognisable a feeding response could be than is being illustrated by these hatchlings right here tonight. Whoa, this guy is coming out. Speed and aggression is their main weapon. The prey is not too big. They can easily handle prey of this size, and they will eat this without any problem at all. And when you feed them this big, they grow real quick. Let me just put the lid on, but this guy could care less. Zero hint of shyness. Zero hint of any nervousness. These guys are really confident and they're hot to trot to eat. Sorry guys, I think I might have missed that one as well. Another one. Same tracking behaviour. Fully focused on food. They know there's food. Bang. Right guys, one more. And just look at the terrarium girl, guys. This is with the scent of prey in the room. She's almost pressing her face up against the glass to be fed. No hint of shyness whatsoever in this girl. She's poised and will eat, so let's feed her. I've got to be a little bit careful here. I'm breaking my own rules. Filming, opening cages or tubs and trying to feed at the same time is a surefire way of getting bitten. If we can open this without getting bitten. Ooh. Oh, she didn't even wait for me to get it in. She came out to get it. So again guys, tub reared snakes, terrarium reared snakes, absolutely no difference. Now notice also that now she has her hands full, so to speak. She doesn't want me stealing her food, but it's actually very easy to just push her back into her enclosure. She's not going to bite me now because she's not letting go of that prey for anything. And there we go. And here she is after feeding. I am continuing to feed in the room, and she is continuing to want feeding. She's still waiting in ambush for more food. She can smell prey. She wants more. Immediately after eating, these guys are still on high alert. They can still smell prey, and they are still switched on and would probably eat again if I offered. You can see how this guy is tracking my finger. This guy is still giving us a feeding response here. Even though he's only just eaten, you can see the bulge in his belly there. Ready to eat again. Another one, still hungry. The feeding response was quite obvious and very easy to recognise. Once you've seen this, you won't mistake it for anything else. These guys just want to eat. Bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character change when there's food in the room. Here's another one that was fed a slightly smaller meal, and this one is also still giving us a feeding response. This one would still eat. Still very active. Quite a different body language from the ones that were given the larger meal. Here's another one, just eaten, but is still giving us a feeding response. This guy would probably also eat again if I offered. Compared to this one of the holdbacks that was given a bigger meal is also no longer interested. So all the ones that were fed on large hoppers are still active and still want to eat. The ones that were given subadults seem to be satisfied with that, and they are busy digesting. No feeding response now. Right guys, one more. Let's feed this guy. Again, larger than I would normally feed. Alright guys, same routine as last week. I've brought in live ASFs into the room just a few minutes ago. It's about 7:30 in the evening and it's already getting dark outside. But we're going to feed these frozen thaweds, we're not going to feed live. I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually convert the snakes. So I'm going to leave these a few minutes just for the scent to get everybody turned on. And I've also just brought the bucket of defrosted rats into the room. I do not defrost rats in the room, and the reason for that is if the snakes are smelling the rats all day long, they tend to switch off after a little while and you don't get such a good feed response. So I like to bring the scent of rats into the room 5 or 10 minutes before I feed, get the snakes all switched on and worked up, and then feed immediately, and I get a much better feeding response that way than if I defrost rats all day long in the room. Alright guys, so literally 5 minutes after bringing the rats into the room and the snakes are awake. And guess who else is awake? Pressing her face against the glass, hoping to be fed. So it does not take very long at all to get these things switched on. Alright guys, let's see if I can persuade this one to take a frozen thawed. You can see the feeding response is in full swing here. So let me take the clips off and just open the lid. And I'm not too worried about these rats being wet. The paper in the tubs is not going to stick to them. So let's see if we can feed this guy. So I did have to do the movement to attract it, but you can see the feeding response is exactly the same as with live prey. They do not differentiate. Once they get worked up into this feeding mode, they would take just about anything. So that's the first example. Let's do a few more. Alright, let's see if I can get this guy to take frozen thawed. Feeding should not be any more difficult than it needs to be, so no finesse required at all here. The snake is switched on and ready to go. There we go. And you notice that I'm using the lid as a partial barricade between me and the snake, so that I don't get bitten. It's very hard to actually film all this with two hands when I need to film at the same time, so I'm stuck with one free hand to feed the snake, which is not ideal, but you can see it still works. Alright guys, snakes at random here. Let's pick out another frozen thawed rat and see if we can't feed this girl here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry, I might have missed that. But she came out of the tub to get it. That's frozen thawed. That's not live. Let's do another one here. This girl, fired up and ready to go. Let's give her frozen thawed. Again, don't make feeding any more difficult than it has to be. Let's get this, slide this lid over and put the rat here. Whoa! On to the next one, and you can see how hungry these guys are, even though they were just fed last week. Let's give this one frozen thawed. Alright guys, let me see if I can capture this for you. Shove the lid over a little bit. Put the rat in and wiggle it around. There we go, not much hesitation there. And one left, it's quite a big one, so let's feed one of those larger ones in a tub. Whoa! There we go. That one's taking the big frozen thawed. Okay, so my hatchling rack is over here, and I have some hatchlings in Bledsoe tubs. So I can squeeze a few more in until they're a few weeks old, and then they get upgraded to the sliding tubs. Now the Bledsoe tubs have to come out when I clean. The sliding tubs, if I need to clean a sliding tub, I also don't work on a tub while it's in the rack. always remove the tub. Put the tub down on the table, and this gives me room to work. It also makes the snake less defensive. In here is the snake's home. It's dark and your snake may defend its territory. Out here in the open, it's much less likely to do so. So I always take the tubs out and put them on the table. It is exposed, it is bright, and it is during the day, so typically the snakes will be asleep, which makes it very easy to work on them. So, as you saw yesterday, we fed all of these hatchlings and the tubs were dirty. I've been away for a couple of days and there were sheds, there were poos, there were dirty water bowls, but I fed dirty. And normally I would leave my snakes for 2 days after they've eaten without touching them. But because the tubs are dirty, I'm actually catching up on my cleaning schedules. It'll be interesting to see how the snakes respond after only 10 or 15 hours from eating. Yesterday was complete carnage, you saw that. The snakes were in feeding mode. Let's just have a quick look in the terrarium. If we have a look at the terrarium girl, this little terror from last night is now fast asleep. Butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. You would never know the carnage that she created last night. This is perfectly normal behaviour during the day, and that intense activity occurs every time there's the scent of prey in the room. Speed and aggression, violence of action is their safety net when they are tackling prey that can bite back. So feeding does tend to be quite instinctive and quite aggressive and can often take you by surprise. In order to be so fast, these guys have special adaptations that bypass the normal reaction time that makes us so slow. The nerve synapses are already primed and ready to go. The snake has no thinking time, it just triggers and strikes. And that's the reason that it can capture its prey, which is also very fast and has very fast reaction times. We couldn't catch a rat, it's far quicker than we are, but a snake has no difficulty at all. And that's the special adaptations that it has with its nerve synapses and reaction times that allow it to do that. And if you're a new snake keeper, it can actually take you by surprise. It's quite violent and you have no way of avoiding it. If a strike comes your way because you make a mistake, you can see it coming. It's almost like it's in slow motion, but there is no chance for you to react. The snake is much quicker than you are, and that's why we have feeding protocols. The snake can't help itself, and if you get bitten on feeding day, you have been warned. The snake can't help itself. It's not the snake's fault. Okay guys, I hope you found that both instructive and entertaining. In the next part we're going to look at cleaning, and cleaning might sound pretty mundane, but cleaning is an interaction with your snake, and interacting with your snake at any level provides an opportunity for your snake to start performing adaptive behaviours. So watch out for part 2, it's coming up shortly. Thanks for watching, don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.